Hello, everybody. Welcome to the JQK Law Firm's weekly live show about U.S. immigration law, taking your questions and updates about what's going on in this crazy immigration system that we have in the United States. None of the information here is intended as individual legal guidance. Please consult with your attorney about your case in private. We take general questions. Excuse me. We take general questions about what you guys are up to because there's a lot going on. Having said that, if you want to schedule a private consultation, go to our website, jqklaw.com/contact. That's jqklaw.com/contact. And then on the other end of it, if you want to download our ultimate marriage green card guide, go to our website, marriageimmigrationlaw.com. It's a special website we have for the guide, 70 plus pages about U.S. marriage and fiance visa cases. It's at marriageimmigrationlaw.com. If you want interest in the citizenship process, we have ultimate naturalization citizenship guide. You can find that guide at jqklaw.com/citizenship, jqklaw.com/citizenship. That's where to go to download that 50-page guide. That's going to be really helpful understanding the process. Having said that, let's start the show. First question. Prob asks, hello, sir. I've already done with asylum interview on December 3rd, just waiting for a decision. Will I get it? Probably not, because they put a hold on asylum decisions and they're reviewing old asylum decisions. So until the president opens things up, they're just stuck, especially depending on what country you're from, but even worse. But I don't think you'll get any decision in the meantime until they start figuring out, a better system, which there's not a rush to do. It's an intentional way to kind of hold you in this weird space. So unfortunately, he'll be stuck for a bit longer. Ponder says, what do we have to do after fiance got 212F after interview? So 212F means the president, for various reasons, is not moving your case forward. Unfortunately, the fiance visa case, they'll probably end up just denying your case. Probably, I can't say for sure. But other than that, you just got to wait. If it was a marriage green card, I would just say wait. I'm not sure how they're going to deal with it. The first administration, Trump administration, had a 212F. They didn't terminate the case, but they closed it, and you have to, during Biden administration, work to get it back up running. It took forever. But this time they may deny the case. I don't know how they're going to deal with it. So we're just getting the situation. I got another question that popped up here about that. But historically, we just kind of wait to see what happens. There are not many options. The fiance visa is problematic because they may not renew your fiance visa the 4-month expiration date, and then that may force you to get married and redo the thing. So it's a decision if you want to go for that. But it's a personal decision to make. You need a lot more information too. Olufami says, good evening. Same to you. Evan asks, hi, my father went to his interview for IR5, but due to being Italian national, he got 212F. So what now? I think you're probably an Iranian. Is there anything we can do? Is this case dead now, or is there still hope? Unfortunately, I don't know if there's still hope. So I can't say that for sure, especially because I haven't reviewed your case. You're saying my mistake, probably Italian. So that's if they're Italian and they did this, yeah, there's some errors there. But unfortunately, right now we just don't know what's going to happen. We have no idea, but probably everything's just going to be stuck. Sean Rahman Esquire says, have you seen the effect on adjustment of status cases for beneficiaries from the visa processing pause countries? I haven't seen it from the pause countries, just in the existing cases that are on the memo. I think 39 countries or something like that, or the national security ones like Iran, Haiti, and Venezuela. But I heard another lawyer said they had issues, but I haven't seen that myself. Olufami says, all good here, just praying for all those in the process. Wish they will get all the good news. Thank you. God bless you. Thank you. Elnana says, how likely is it that USCIS will take over university transfer? Is it possible for that to happen by end of March? I don't know what you mean by we'll take over university transfers, but you mean is a new system where you have to request extensions. That should be happening pretty soon, which will be bad because a lot of people can't get extensions because of the ban. So your question isn't quite complete, so I'm not sure. Evan says, can you help me with my dad's case after 212F? Not really. I don't really have an option to do anything. I'm not sure if a waiver request is going to, have anything happen from it. Kids asks, what are the biggest changes so far? I mean, biggest. Everything is huge. The bans, the pauses are the biggest ones. Mandeep says, can I file an I-751 without divorce decree, or have to wait for divorce first? You can file it without a divorce waiver format. I have a lot of videos on this, Mandeep, on YouTube. So type in JQK law and I-75 removal conditions divorce. But it's important is your divorce happen as soon as possible if you're going that route, because USCIS will probably want to see the divorce certificate before approving it, and they may send you a request for evidence asking for it. So you just got to time that stuff well. But it's a very strategic, almost like surgery when you're doing this case. So schedule a consultation. Go to jqklaw.com/contact. I should make a guide for this. But it's on my to-do list. But go to our website, jqlaw.com/contact, and talk about it, because we got to see what's going on. How you can prove your relationship is real. That's the most important thing. Fahim asks, I've changed my name during citizenship interview. It's been 5 months waiting for oath ceremony. Well, we got to see what country you're from, because if you're from Iran, for example, you're paused. But when you do name change when you do a name change, you have to have a judge come to your oath ceremony, and judges are coming less. So that's what causes it to take longer, as opposed to like a regular interview that doesn't require a name change. Ocean says the DV pause, how long is going to be lifted? I don't know. It's up to President Trump when he decides it. Luis says, hello, sir. In your experience, does immigration ever check flights that a person has taken? Yeah, they do. Yeah, they know, they have it all in their system. Ocean says, my DV visa got approved, but the pause. If you have a visa issued, maybe you can still come. I don't know I'm not sure if that's what country you're from or what issue it is, so I have to research that. But if a visa was approved already, maybe you still come, but I'd have to research it. Please schedule a consultation. Punisher asks, the fiance is from a banned country, so Punisher is just not going anywhere good. But I have to review the case, but probably nothing we've done, nothing we do. But without reviewing it, I can't say it for sure. Time says, how long time after waiting everything is approved? I don't know. That depends whenever USCIS or has time. That's up to them. It's more a logistics thing. Any updates on the visa pause? Denise asks. Nope. John Doe says TPS Haiti. Yeah, they won in court. We'll see what happens with that. Simraz, next month I have an M400 interview. 10 years ago, I got arrested for wet reckless. Is that a problem? Historically, no, but it depends on what happened around it. And under this administration, it could be more harsh against it. The Trump administration last time around was going to get really strict on it, but that things changed. But you shouldn't be asking this question now, a month before you interview. Something should have been analyzed with the lawyer ahead of time to get the conviction record, to review what happened at the event, practice what you're going to say, show good moral character, what you've done since then, have the documents prepped for that in case needed, education, work-wise, family-wise, religious-wise. So it's like a whole thing. Now maybe just go there and prove it too, but it's just, their life. So it's better to plan the stuff with a lawyer. And he says, any updates on visa pause? No. It just got here. No, Milo, no updates on visa freezes. Gibroli says, what happens if I travel with advanced parole? Will they reject me or deny me at the point of entry? Well, it's at their discretion whether to do that. I don't know your history at all, so I can't recommend traveling without knowing everything. It's up to you if you want to take that risk on. Okay, we got a lot of repeat questions. Please just don't do that. I can try to get to every question. Ishama says, I'm 45. I'm 45. My mom is filing for me and my kids. How long will that take? Well, your mom, first of all, has to be, if you're married, it has to be a citizen. But let's say it's going to take a long time, probably like 13 years or something like that. Let's say your mom's you're a citizen. Let me see, visa bulletin. If your mom's a citizen applying for a child that's married, I'm not sure if you're married or not, but a child that's married is backed up. I mean, it's going to take a lot of years. And it depends on what country you're from, too. Right now, by the time your case is ready, these bans will probably be finished or something different will happen. They may get rid of this category, frankly. But like an F3 case, adult married child of a U.S. citizen, if you're from Philippines, it's 2000. Again, it depends on what country you're from, 2000 effect. From Mexico, they're doing cases in 2001. But if you're from other countries, they're approving cases from September 11th. So these timelines don't move in a linear fashion month to month. So right now, they're backed up for almost like 15 years. But it could be longer, it could be shorter. It could be a lot of different things so it's hard to do this. You're probably not gonna be able to take advantage of this in your life in a sense that you'll come when you're when you're 55. It's gonna be hard for you to immigrate. It's really for your children, and the key is your children be young enough to stay in the case, because if they age out, they go over 21, and there's a thing called the Child Status Protection Act. If that doesn't help, then your kids will not be able to take the benefit. And Sarah says, how long does it take to process DS-260 for Africa for DV lottery winners? And you think going to federal court to lift the pause will work? I don't know. It's up to the judge what will work and what won't work, and the government. The process of DS-260 will be processed by for DV case. You got to go to interview. So there's no how long. It depends on what happens with the whole DV situation. It's a boy says, how long after biometrics completed for I-360 for EAD? It's not related to your biometrics. So EADs are unrelated to biometrics. It depends on how much the government wants to take. The Chosen says the DOJ is looking for 100 denaturalization cases each month. Did they find any yet, or propaganda? So far, these are files. We would have heard about it, so nothing happened so far. TikTok says, my wife in Thailand just received her interview date for NBC. I'm so bummed after all this time. Yeah, I think Thailand's on the list of the pause. We'll see what happens. There's a lawsuit just started on this. What is VAWA approval rate in 2026? It's too early to judge 2026. They don't have those stats yet. I'm most looking for second or third quarter of 2025, but they're changing the whole VAWA process. So knowing these rates and stuff won't make a difference. Everything's changing. Jibri says, what happens if I travel? Okay, we already answered your question, Jibri, earlier. You're welcome, Simran. Is Trump administration affect VAWA 2026? Yeah, they're going to make it more strict, especially for men that applied for VAWA. They're going to go after those because there's been a huge increased number of VAWA filings. So they're trying to target it for fraud and stuff like that to see who's making things up. Fime says, during this situation, can I travel with my green card? So let's say you're Iranian. Fime, I think you said you applied for your parents, or was that someone else? Evan. Okay, fine. I'm mixing up people who are talking to me. Yeah, you could travel with your green card. I don't know what country you're from, what your history is, and stuff like that. So I can't recommend anybody. But generally, you could try. You could find travel with the green card. But I don't know your details of your life, so I can't give recommendations here. Elnot says, I've heard there's ongoing proposal, which is now in the public notice phase. Appreciate advice. Yeah, it's been in the public notice phase for a couple of months. I did a detailed review of it on my other podcast, the Immigration Lawyers Toolbox podcast for lawyers. But there's been no update yet. We'll see what happens with that. There's a lot of mistakes and problems with the thing, but we'll see what happens. Unfortunately, there's no update. Random says 120 days, no decision for my I-765, I-576, 756. I'm not sure what that is, and N400 together marriage interview. I think you mean I-751. Had asylum that is closed. What country are you from? And sometimes they take a while. You may have to sue them, but because of what country you're from, there's a pause on certain countries. Ramon says, if I'm an I-751 was denied and I have a pending immigration hearing, but that person married his fiance after that, is a viable process I-130, I-485? You still got to get the I-751 approved because they're going to accuse you of marriage fraud on the first marriage, so that has to be dealt with properly. You could even reopen the I-751. So it's complicated where you definitely need a good immigration attorney local to you to go to court with you and try to fight that situation. Seb asks, good evening. Form N400 Part 7. Should you disclose if you're unemployed since 2013 and didn't file tax since you had surgery, or should you disclose last 5 years? I mean, if you the questions on the N400 change. Right now, the current format of the form, the paper version, doesn't ask if you've never filed. It just says, have you... Let me see what the form says. I can't give individual legal guidance how someone should do their form, but in cases where we are a firm, typically, we state when the unemployment started, even if it was outside the 5-year period. That's what we typically do. But again, each case is different and depends on the holistic nature of your case and what happened. So this isn't intended as individual legal guidance. And when it talks about taxes, the current paper version of the form just says, it was like 5 years ago, it said, have you ever not filed taxes? But they redid the wording of it in January 2025. On the paper version, I'm not sure the online, I can't remember the online. But it says, do you currently owe any overdue federal or state local taxes? So that's the way they word it now. So the not paying tax, not file taxes doesn't come up, because if you talk with the accountant and you know that tax weren't necessary, that part's not going to come up. But that's the general idea there. Harshid asks, hi, question regarding H-1B. My salary right now is $3 an hour less than the prevailing wage. So can my company apply for H-1B this March? And if it gets picked, they are able to increase salary. Would that work? It probably will, but I'm not the H-1B specialist in my office, so I don't want to answer that. I don't handle H-1B, so but it probably will. But the special office contacted an attorney to help them through with that. Maxim says, does all individual hearings get pre-terminated or something is trialed? They're trying to pre-terminate as many as possible. Pre-terminate judge kind of shut off the court case, say this case should be heard. It's happening pretty, a lot. Oblock asks, if I do e-commerce in my country with only a French client, can I continue with an F1? Right now, I wouldn't recommend doing anything because it's such bad. I don't recommend doing anything because they're going to get much more harsh on this stuff. Sean says, how much now it takes for spouse-based green card process state of Arkansas? I don't know. I have a Arkansas case I'm going to start at the end of the year, but I haven't done one there recently. Maxim says, does all we answer your question. Can a DWI affect you if you have a green card and you travel back your way back? Well, it depends on what happened to DWI. We need more information on that. Make sure the conviction was handled properly. But one itself usually is not a problem, but I can't guarantee it because I haven't reviewed your case and your background and all your other issues that you may exist that you're not even aware about. A lot of times people call me or consult with me about something like this, and then when we're into it, realize there are other issues with their case. They had they got a green card they weren't supposed to in the first place because of other issues, and so we got to really see what's going on. Okay, we got a lot of repeat questions. I'm getting to all your questions. You don't have to ask the same question over and over again. go for the repeat. Okay. When do you think the ban on 70 countries might get lifted? Thanks. That's not up to me to see what the courts and President Trump say. Prince Ahmed says, is it possible for me to speak to you one-on-one through the phone about immigration? Yeah, not through a phone. We do video consultations and schedule consultation. The fees do apply, but say you go to our website, jqqlaw.com/contact, fill in the box there. So I know what your case is about. For example, if you want to talk about asylum and stuff like that, our office is to handle asylum cases, so I'm going to help you. But if it seems like something I can advise on, we can schedule a private consultation. Then he says, while being on a visa, could you still be approved? Visa pause. While being on a visa, could you still be approved for what? What do you mean while still being on a visa? It needs to be more clarification on what your question is. While being on a visa, pause, could you still be approved? I mean, no, if it's a pause, you're one of the pause people. Who knows? They could do it. It's not like they can do whatever they want, but typically, no. That's the whole goal is that they don't approve these things. What do I think about, Maury asked, what do you think about the lawsuits against Trump's Unified Country Order? It doesn't matter what I think. We got to see what the judges think. That's not up to me. Are we receiving refugees this year? I doubt it, but I don't keep track of refugee cases. Any updates on the USA's pause on green card SLA? Nope, no updates. Maury says, I'm an Iranian living in Korea. I've been interviewed for DS-260, and they said after I can receive my green card. No, because you're Iranian, you're going to be on the ban, so they won't issue a visa or green card to you. Unless it's very rare, like you're like even if you're exception to the ban, like being part of a religious or minority, for example, or ethnic minority in Iran, there's another pause ban right now going on for people from Iran that's based on the affidavit's public charge. So in general, it's not happening. How long does the hold usually last for Iranians? It's not just Iranians; it's for everybody. So there's no usual aspect. This is a complete unusual situation we're going through. As you all know, I mean, you guys see in the news what Trump's doing. So this is nothing that's normal. So there's no usual. There's no when this is going to happen. There's no what I think about this. This is just completely unheard of stuff that's happening. Tuxin Khan says, if you're applying for Citizenship 2025, what tests are you taking? If you're going to apply after a certain date, like in October or something like that, you got to do the one with more questions, the newer one. Should I go through with the interview? I don't know. That's your decision now what you want to do. I don't have a guidance on that. Mo says, any updates regarding the hold case applied for USCIS? No updates. Is wedding pictures mandatory to apply for a 2-year green card? It's not mandatory, but it's good to have. Sadawanga says, the consul is asking for my fiance to drop off his passport at OIS, but that happened. Okay, contact them and see what's going on. And the consul confirmed they've seen my fiance's passport. And they do weird stuff like this. Teddy says, if cross the border and file asylum, then can I marry a U.S. citizen, get a green card? You have to have lawful entry to the United States. So if you got paroled in, maybe, but they make mistakes sometimes. So you have to see how your entry occurred and what paperwork they gave you to prove it. Sadawag said, what do you say? I do. I'm still waiting for visa to be issued. Country Nigeria K1 visa. I don't think they'll issue it probably because of the bans and stuff like that. So there's nothing you can't do. Sorry. Hobman says, if you're married, how long before you can apply for citizenship if you have a green card? If you're married a U.S. citizen and you've been living with them for the last 3 years, you can file for 3 years after getting a green card. Now, if you're one of the banned countries, we don't how long, they'll get the case, but who knows how long it'll take to be approved. And he says, how hard is citizenship interview? It depends on who you are. I mean, if you could memorize some questions and talk about yourself and your case doesn't have issues, it's not hard at all. But some people can't answer questions, can't speak English well. You ask them, like, what's your wife's name? They don't know. So it's like, it's how hard it is. It's not hard at all, frankly. But for some people, for most people. Denise says, my husband has an interview next week in Guatemala. I was wondering of the outcome. I don't know. I have to review his case. I can't say. Oblock says, like that wedding got to be something that's we call our parents come. No, just have some photos together. Saying I do, but it's not in the world if you don't have it. Forrest says, what if you had a T visa and applied for adjustment of status within 39? So you're on the pause as well. Yeah, you can do the bigger wedding later. That's Oblock. That's fine. Okay. We ran out of questions. Okay. A lot of consistent questions. I'm a little bit under the weather, so I had a little bit less energy today. But thanks for everyone who asked questions. Yeah, the immigration process is a mess. Whether you're inside the U.S. is usually what's going to be okay. Embassies are the ones they crack down on, but they're just being crazy. Sebia says, also, should you disclose volunteer job in this part, also continuing education and keep a certificate? Generally, you should. I can't individually say Sepida because I haven't reviewed your case and you're not my client. You might have volunteer jobs you shouldn't have done, for example. I don't know. But generally include all that stuff, but not having reviewed your case, I can't say. Rising says, do you see EB1, EB2 case where Iranian dual citizen AP under successful clear the process are granted? No, I haven't seen any Iranian cases get out of AP or have their visas issued. Ninja says, if my pending VAWA case is denied and my current boyfriend marries me, can I still stay in the U.S.? Maybe if you enter lawfully and they don't accuse you of like a fake marriage, the first one. So it's not an easy case. There's issues. You're welcome, Denise. Eva says, I have an I-751 extension letter. Can I travel internationally? My country's in the list of 55. Technically, you can, but I wouldn't recommend it. I don't know what these people are going to do. So the 75 country that really applies for new people getting immigrant visas at green cards through the embassy. It doesn't apply to other people, but unless you don't need to travel, it's like a family emergency or something like that, I wouldn't bother doing it because this administration is just so out of control. You never know what they're going to do. So I wouldn't make that risk unless, again, it's really important or something like that. Some important family situation happening, important financial thing is happening. Those are the kind of things I would think about. Maria says, how long does it take for NBC to approve the 6 steps for Ecuador? I'm not sure the 6 steps are, but how NBC to be documentally qualified, if done properly, usually takes 2 to 4 weeks right now. And then how long the interview takes. And Ecuador, I just recently started Ecuador case. I think it's a couple months. Visa reciprocity. I'm sorry, DOSIV tools. And the interesting is Ecuador. You don't go to Quito for it. There's that embassy is located somewhere else. Let me see my history. What I have immediate relative. Now it depends on what kind of case. I'm going to be searching for if you're married to a U.S. citizen or something like that. My computer's being slow. So what was the kid? Yeah, my computer's being really slow. It's a Q. It's not Quinto. Sorry, I can't remember what this. Oh yeah, Guayaquil. Yeah. U.S. citizen, Guayaquil. There's a website the department says it's saying it's pretty quick. Cases that were documentally qualified in December 2025 are getting interview notices now, which says like come in 2 months. It's around 5 months, but you got to get documentally qualified first. And I see when people do their own case, that takes them a long time because they mess up a lot on the uploads, and then that takes even longer after data supports and stuff like that. Sadawanga says, our K1 visa is not affected by the ban. Well, there's different bans and pauses. Some of them they are, some of them they're not. It depends on what country you're from. But essentially, there's some loophole in one of the bans where they just say immigrant visas. They don't say non-immigrant. And K1s are technically non-immigrant visas. So potentially that might be a loophole, but they'll catch that and stop it pretty soon. So Iranian dual citizens with EB cases. Okay, do you see? Okay, I didn't read the dual citizen part. Sorry, Rez, I wasn't paying attention. So Iranian dual citizens with the EB case are practically stuck in AP at least until. Yeah, I mean, if you're even you're a dual citizen, you're not subject to the bans. You're still going to be stuck in administration. How long is AP going to be? God knows. I've seen it take 3 months. I've seen it take 3-4 years, and so there's no end date for AP. That's so I've seen it be approved, but I would expect the worst. Frankly, I would expect the worst. There was a Russian case recently where a person was stuck in AP, an EB case, for 4 years, and they sued, and the judge said 4 years isn't long enough. So it's that kind of stuff that's happening. I'm not optimistic, but it could be approved tomorrow for all we know. But since you have Iranian background, I'm not optimistic, especially. Unfortunately, I wish I had better news for you, Rising 454. All right, everybody. I'm about to end the show pretty soon. Went a little short this week, but I'm just exhausted. Winter is flu and cold season. It really knocks people out. Brian Chase asks, how long do you see motions to pretermit based on AC areas continuing? I don't handle court cases, Brian, so I don't want to give comment on that. I don't deal with that at all. Rising 454, is mandamus an option? It is, but government's just going to say national security. It'd probably deny it. So if you have the money, do it. Why not? Depending on how long it's going, I would probably wait a year before filing, but probably is going to get denied. So it's like if you want to spend the money or not. Zeta says, can you travel back to your country with an asylum case closed and with a marriage green card? I wouldn't do it until you're a citizen, frankly, because this administration, historically, it's not a problem. But again, everything we do nowadays, you have to keep in mind this current administration. So I wouldn't recommend it. Ramon says, thank you very much. You're welcome, Ramon. I appreciate it. And thank you, everyone, put likes on TikTok. I appreciate it. And following. Please share the feed so that people know as well. You're welcome, Zeta. I wish you the best. And thank you for liking as well. Sadawanga, it's good to see you again. Thank you for everyone who liked and pressed liked and also shared the feed. That's always really helpful. Get people know we're answering questions about U.S. immigration. Ramon says, feel better. Thank you so much. Rising Force, thanks, John. Very helpful. I appreciate it, Rising. I wish I had better guidance, but it's like whenever Iranians out dealing with them, it's like not dealing with them, helping them. It's always just bad news for pretty much my whole career. It just gets worse and worse when it comes to immigration advice. Hi, Derry Patel. Good to see you again. Say best. Thanks for subscribing. I meant, should you list underemployment part that you're unemployed since 2013 or just last 3 years? Again, I usually list the whole time you've been employed. If it goes past the 5 years, I would just limit it there. But I can't tell you to do that because there might be things that go along with that don't match your previous applications or something like that. So I can't tell you what to write on that without reviewing your whole case. So it's not, I can't provide individual legal guidance. Derek says, thank you for valuable advice. You're welcome. And okay, so I'm gonna leave in a minute because I have a consultation starting. But that's II6 says I have LPR. Can I travel to ban list countries and I passwords from those countries? I need more information. I typically don't recommend it, but after reviewing your information, I may say it's probably okay. But even if I say it's probably okay, it's not really up to me how with everything that's going on. I don't recommend it. That's all I want to ask. What's the required age for U.S. citizen to file for his or her spouse? 18. You just have to be 18. Now, for the affidavit of support, though, I think you have to be 21, though. So you might need a joint sponsor and double check. If you're applying, if you're a citizen applying for parents, siblings, and stuff, you have to be 21. But I think the I-130 is 18. But sorry, I'm sick and I've been talking for a couple hours now. Let me double check. I'm going to I-64 form. Immediate relative U.S. spouse is unmarried. Who is required? Here's I'll try this. I'd have to research that more, but I think I think it's 18. But I got hiccup right now, and I'm like dying. So please schedule a private consultation so I could sit and research it to exactly what it is. Because I got to sit and read them. I think it was 18, but maybe for the affidavit be so 21, but probably it's 18 for spouse, but for other family members, because the I-130 the petition is the name one. If you go to you can do it yourself. Go to the instructions. It says the age limits on the I-130 instructions. Excuse me. I've done cases for people that are in college. So sorry, it's embarrassing getting recorded doing hiccups on the mic. So go to the I-130 instructions. It has information there. My worry is just the affidavit support. So I'd have to look at that. All right, Eddie, everybody. God bless. Be safe. And hopefully next week I'll come in. Yeah, I got to drink some water. Some cold tea maybe. But I'll catch up with you all. God bless. Be safe. And thank you so much for joining us. I wish you all the best. Bye-bye.